Good morning, everybody. Mike Ham here. We are not coming from the Spotlight Studios as we normally do. We are right here in Trenton, New Jersey at the On Air Brand Studio recording an episode of the Morning Spotlight podcast. My logo's up here on the screen. This is the most legit this podcast has ever been, and we have a very legit guest here with us today. We have MC Laubscher. MC, welcome to the show.
Awesome to be here.
It's awesome to have you. You are purple. Man, I mean, this is great. Like, I'm big on branding, as you could tell. I mean, I got, like, the hat, the shirt, but I've seen pictures of you before, and then that just, I mean, it blew my mind. So now that you're here, it's just, like, I love it. I love the purple. So, like, what's with the purple? Is that your favorite color, or do you say, like, screw it, I'm going purple?
Yeah, I was figuring out a way to really differentiate myself from a branding standpoint.
Right.
And the purple colors, especially when you're looking at branding and building a brand around something, is something that pops everywhere. You know, you see red, it's like, okay, there's a couple of red logos. You see blue, you see a couple of other ones, and then you see a purple one, and immediately you pause, and you're like, what's up with that?
Right.
What's up with the purple stuff?
Exactly. Who's this dude in the purple?
Yeah. Purple, what's going on? So it definitely was a way to figure out how do I differentiate myself, and I like the branding colors of the purple, and I also like the branding colors of the orange that went along with it.
Yeah.
You know, I looked at I was doing a show about personal finance, about investing, about business, and so forth. And funnily enough, when it comes to business and investing, one of the biggest decision makers, especially, and people that are interested in it, and people that actually make the decisions, as we know, are women.
Yeah,
that's
right.
And a lot of brands, powerful brands, has looked at purple because it attracts a lot of females. And then I use the orange, of course, for the Amazon branding.
Exactly,
because everybody likes to click on an orange button, right?
Yes, yeah. Purchase, right?
And they spend a lot of money so that I don't have to figure out which button people click on. So I figured, you know what? I think they got it down.
Yeah. No, I love it. And the Cashflow Ninja. So that's part of the brand. You got the Cashflow Ninja hat. You got the Cashflow Ninja shirt. Can we talk about like what Cashflow Ninja is and how does that fit into the overall brand?
Yes, absolutely. So my approach and philosophy to investing is a cash flow investing and being a cash flow investor as opposed to focusing on the accumulation model. So for folks listening, the accumulation model is, well, you're just going to put away as many nuts like a squirrel over the course of 30 to 40 years, and hopefully by the time that you're looking to quote unquote retire, you're going to have enough nuts, as the squirrel hopes he has for winter, to retire on. And what I found interesting with that model too is then most people try to turn that mountain of money into income streams. So the cash flow investing approach is a little bit of a different approach. Is where you focus on creating income streams right away, immediately.
Yeah.
You invest in assets that pay you to hold it. So that was the approach that I took with it, and it's the most important thing when it comes to business and investing. Ninja is actually, I've got a famous martial artist in my family. So my dad is actually a ninth Dan, karate sensei.
Wow.
Traveled all over the world teaching karate. He could still beat me up, by the way. I'm 42 years old. He could totally still beat me up. Well, my
dad can still kick my ass too, so it's the same thing. He's not a ninja, so that's totally different.
Yeah, and the approach, one of the things that I saw from my dad was his pursuit of excellence in his craft daily.
Yeah.
So he always, every single day, I mean, he's 72 years old. He's been doing martial arts for over 50, and every day he tries to get better. It's that mentality of the opposite mentality of arriving in knowledge, is the pursuit of more knowledge and getting better every single day. So I wanted to take that approach, and that's kind of how the brand came together, is this focus of cash flow and marriage that with the focus of the pursuit of excellence in our craft as business owners and entrepreneurs and as investors.
Right. I love it. I love branding stuff, like I said, as you could tell, and I love what you got going on. I mean, the purple, for people that are listening on the audio, doesn't stop at the hat and the shirt. Like, literally, you have purple Cashflow Ninja socks, which I think are phenomenal, and they should be sold in stores around the world. So, but let's get a little bit of background on you, just so we kind of introduce. We've beat around the bush here at the beginning, talk about the branding side, but we need to know more about MC. So let's talk about who MC is, kind of your background, how you got into cash flow investing, all this kind of stuff. So let's do that now.
Absolutely. So I'm originally from South Africa, so it's not a Pennsylvanian accent.
I was going to say like German or something, but that shows how worldly I am not. So,
yeah, so I grew up in South Africa. I grew up during a very interesting time in the country's history. Born and raised there. I actually came to the United States 20 years ago, 2001. And I, traveled around the world a little bit, ended up in the United States. I actually played in rugby league over here, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So sports got me here. And as I was traveling and playing rugby in different cities and getting to see a big part of this beautiful country, you gotta find something else to keep you busy, right?
Right.
It's either going to be video games or it's going to be reading, scary Stephen King books or whatever you're into, right?
Right.
So I figured, I'm like, listen, I'm gonna probably need to spend my time focusing on learning something or building up my knowledge base or something. So when I'm done, tackling people on the weekend, that I got something else to offer in the marketplace.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
So I started reading about finance, about investing, about business. And then my mother actually gave me a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling personal finance book of all time. Really changed my context of money, what it is, how it works. And I started to see the world a little bit differently. And that I went down that rabbit hole of trying to figure out how money works, how businesses work and operate, how investing works, how this game of money, capital, and wealth works. And I went down, for the past 2 decades, I've studied as much as I can on it. But I didn't only study, I took action. So after I read that book, I bought my first investment property. This was 20 years ago, real estate. I still remember buying that property and putting in tenants, collecting the rent, paying all the expenses that were involved with it.
Right.
And after I did that, there was money left over.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a second, this is incredible.
Yeah.
Cash flow, just like in the book, of course. And I thought, well, this isn't too bad. This isn't too hard. But then school started, of course, right? Everybody that owns real estate will know that, hey, tenants sometimes don't pay rent. They break your stuff, all that stuff along with it, right?
Yeah.
But it really took me into this world of endless possibilities because I'm like, wait a second, how many times can I do this? How many properties can I own? Because I'm making X amount of money on this property. What if I have 10 of these? What if I have 20 of these, 25, 30? And all of a sudden, it's like, that light bulb moment that you have, like, wait a second. There's actually stuff I could own and that will pay me to own it. This is amazing.
Yeah.
So I was all in on cash flow investing. I have a podcast called Cashflow Ninja where I've interviewed over 700 cash flow ninjas, as I call them, the best minds in business and investing. It's turned into a education company in the course of the past 12 months. And then I also have other businesses. I have a company called Producers Wealth. It's a virtual wealth firm that serves clients in all 50 states. And then I also have a company called Producers Capital Partners, where we invest in a lot of alternative assets. But I think the big thing for me on my journey was, really seeing cash flow investing, seeing that there's an endless opportunity with cash flow investing.
Yeah.
And then that's how I pursued down my journey.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about, so you said Cashflow Ninja is a podcast and you've interviewed 700, you said, right? People, which is insane. But talk to me, maybe, was there a moment in time at some point in that 5-year, I think you said, span of doing the podcast that like you started leveling up even faster because you were talking to people? Because you hear like the Malcolm Gladwell thing, the 10,000 hours. And if you want to do something really well, you need to put in the 10,000 hours. But then you all of a sudden you start leveraging other people's 10,000 hours, and now you can level up even faster, right? So talk to me about, was that something that you saw happen with your show, where you started bringing on these guests and all of a sudden you're just, now leveling up faster and faster than maybe you had thought possible in the previous 15 years?
It's incredible. I mean, what that has done for me personally, I cannot even explain. I mean, level up is, absolutely. I mean, if you get access to some of the best minds in business and investing and get to speak to them every single week, you're going to pick up something from someone every single week. And I've always tried to incorporate everything that I learn and, try to figure out, how can I use this? This person did X. How can I implement and incorporate that into what I'm doing. So it's not necessarily, all right, I'm going to drop everything and do this now. It's like, so you pick up little pieces, and by doing that, all of a sudden, just like with everything else, there's a compounding effect.
Yeah.
And it becomes exponential of your knowledge, relationships. Relationships are multipliers. They're absolutely multipliers. You can, what is there's a saying, and I butcher quotes, by the way, a lot of them.
Yeah. But
essentially, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go really far, go together with someone.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing.
That was pretty good. I don't think you butchered that one. Yeah.
But
undersell, over deliver kind of deal right there.
But yeah, I think like it became there was an exponential increase in knowledge, and then the relationships that I've made, the friendships that I've made, and the opportunities that have opened up has been incredible.
Yeah, which I think is fantastic, and that's something that I've seen with my show too. Is just like the people that I've talked to and everything. You just start picking up different things for business, for branding, for marketing, for real estate stuff, because I'm in real estate myself.
Yep.
So you just start doing these different things, and all of a sudden you start leveraging other people's time, effort, experience, and then next thing you know, you couple that with your own effort and experience, and you got something really great. So yeah. So you're also here to talk about a book also. Yep. So the 21 base cash flow niches.
Yep, the 21 base cash flow niches. And what brought this book idea to come up was I got asked the question over and over and over by people. They would ask me, they'd say, MC, you've interviewed like over 700 people. I mean, you cover real estate, business, commodities, paper assets, cryptocurrencies, and blockchain technologies. You have a very, very wide topic variety. Like, what are some of the best investing ideas and niches that have been shared on your show? And this kept coming up over and over and over. And I'm like, I think this is a question that should be answered, right?
Yeah, right.
And I always said that I'll do this for 5 years, and then I'm sure there's going to be certain topics and things that'll come up that will result into and be worthy of a book. And this kept coming up and up and up and up, and I'm like, all right, I think we got a book here. So I finally did it. I finally sat down and I went through all my notes, look at all the different topics that were shared, all of the different asset classes, all of the different niches, and I came up with the 21 best cash flow niches, and I put them together in a book. And that was hard to do, by the way. So there's 5 bonus niches, of course. Have to over deliver, right?
Right. Yeah, I like this. Undersell, over deliver. They expect 21, they get 26 now, I guess, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And from a marketing, we just talked about branding. The 26 best cash flow niches,
no,
it's just not going to work.
Like, why 26?
Exactly.
21 for some reason makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. I played around with numbers, and everybody was like, well, 7 is a very powerful number. And I'm like, well, how about a 21st birthday party?
Yeah.
For some reason, we celebrated 21st birthday party. For some reason, a bunch of smart people got together and said, hey, we should make the age of drinking 21. Why is that? So I'm like, well, okay, 21 would work.
Yeah,
I could fit in 21 cash flow niches.
Yeah. No, I love that. What I think is interesting, too, is you talked about how you have this like 21, 26 niches, right? But like a niche is something that's specific.
Yes.
And then you have this wide knowledge of all these different topics from your own experiences and talking to all these people and all that kind of stuff. Is that something that you, in your own investing, is that something that you've tried to do, is kind of diversify, I guess? Because I talk to people on this show, whether it's real estate or whatever, that in some cases they're extremely specific to one thing. Like, we invest in multifamily housing and that's it. We invest in single family homes or whatever. But I know that there's other people that tend to diversify in the real estate world or just investing in general. So talk to me a little bit about that. Is it something that you would think is better to like be really good at one thing or be pretty good at a bunch of things?
I invest in people, the best people. So people have asked me, how is it possible? How are you invested in energy projects, real estate, cryptocurrency, and blockchain? How are you invested in all of this? You can't possibly know everything that there is to know in every single niche or every single space.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, of course, I'm not a robot. Mm-hmm. There's no way I would be able to do that. Right. But I partner with the best people in the specific niche and space. So that's my lane. You know, everybody's like, my lane is multifamily real estate. My lane is, historic resorts. My lane is gold and silver. My lane is cryptocurrency trading. My lane is people. And how I came up with that is, I was in single family real estate and I wanted to get into multifamily. So I had a friend that I met through the rugby. Jokingly, he's like, he is one of those guys that comes from a family. He referred to himself as part of the Lucky Sperm Club. He was born into a family that were brokers, potato brokers of some of the biggest farmers in the Midwest and like Frito-Lays and these companies. So a very wealthy family.
Yeah.
They operated like a family. They had their own family office built on the Rockefeller family office model. And they owned a lot of multifamily real estate on the north side of Chicago. That was it. North side of Chicago, that is where they made their money or invested in real estate. And I tried to get into that. And I started working for him in the company started at the bottom, from cleaning apartments to helping them with turnovers, to eventually getting my broker's license, doing property management for him, being part of an acquisitions team. And there was this one guy that I called on, and I called on this guy. Literally, I wanted to get his building because I know if I could get the building, I could get the money,
right,
and I could have an ownership stake on it, and that could be like my springboard. And essentially, I called on this guy for almost a year. I walked into the office. I got in the office at like 7:30 a.m. in the morning. And as I walked into the office, the guy that I was trying to call on was sitting, speaking to my friend's partner on the other side, and he just sold his entire portfolio to them, which they then either buy for cash or they sell it to someone else. You know the game. And I looked at that and I'm like, dude, I can't. It's like farting against the thunder, right? I can't. Like, how do I compete with these guys?
Right,
I can't. These guys are cash flow ninjas. If somebody thinks about buying or selling something on the north side of Chicago, they go to these guys because they know they'll either buy it or they know the buyer that they can flip it to and participate in the transaction. And I had that light bulb moment where I'm like, I can't compete with these guys, but I need to partner with them. Yeah. Like, how do I partner with that guy that has got that power in a market and dominates the space and gets access to the best deals constantly? So I started as an active investor and then pursued being an active investor, had that light bulb moment, and I'm like, I'm going to become a passive investor. And I don't necessarily love the word passive investing. It's more like leverage investing, because you're just leveraging the skill sets, capabilities, networks, relationships of others instead of just depending on your own, right? But then I realized, okay, this is what I need to do. And this is how I can diversify. This is how I can operate in different asset classes and in different niches. Is all I have to do is I have to find these cash flow ninjas that are crushing it, right, and figure out a way to provide value to them and to essentially partner with them. And then it just all kind of came together, over the past 5 to 6 years. You're talking about, multiplier effects and exponential increases in knowledge and in results. Is like, now I have a platform that's been listened to in 180 countries, millions of downloads and so forth. So all of a sudden, you approach a cash flow ninja, which, like, why would I talk to you? Well, why did you come on my show for an hour? Right. We've got millions of downloads, 180 countries, spend an hour with me, and then basically you're having a conversation with that person for an hour. You provided value for them, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, maybe there's a different relationship beyond this that we can pursue. Right. But that's kind of the route that I went down, is finding the best folks. People is my thing, finding the best people that are passionate, that are absolutely crushing it in their space, and investing in those people. Most of the niches that I'm invested in the asset classes, I know that those people are going to take care of my money.
Right, which is the name of the game in that situation, right? You don't want people not taking care of your money,
yep,
right? That should be in the book. I don't know if you put that in yet.
Chapter 1. Yeah, chapter 1. First paragraph.
Right. Yeah, but there's so much great stuff in that answer that you just gave, and I'm going to try to hit all the things that I made a mental note and a physical note of what I wanted to ask you more about.
Yep.
But one of the things that we were talking about in our ample pre-interview time
Yep.
About the audience of the Morning
Yes.
Spotlight is primarily 25 to 35.
Yep.
So they're either new to investing, they're thinking about investing. I think one of the things that gets people scared off from investing, at least the beginning,
Yes.
and I've found myself in this boat as well. Like, if you're a 25-year-old and you hear that maybe you need $25,000 to invest in a multifamily syndication, there's literally no way that you have that kind of cash just lying around that you could just get rid of.
Yep.
I mean, you're new to your career. Maybe I'm sure there's people out there that have that, and that's great and good for them, but not everybody does. And I think that creates this snowball effect where they never get out of that because they never have the opportunity to make that money grow. So they just stay where they are. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
talk to me a little bit about, like, you mentioned that you started at the bottom with the people in northern Chicago.
Yep.
Sweeping floors, doing all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I think it goes beyond that. You mentioned the podcast. That's how you provide value. So maybe you can talk about some ways that people can get started without having all that, cash in the bank type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And essentially, I like to refer to the game as the game of capital and wealth. And how the game of capital and wealth is played is, let's just start with capital. Capital comes in many, many shapes and sizes. We think capital, we think money.
Right.
That's it. Relationship capital is much more important than money. Intellectual capital is much more. By the way, if you combine your intellectual capital with relationship capital, it will result in financial capital. So here's what I would recommend. There's a framework that I've put together that I've seen with every single Cashflow Ninja. They all do the same things. It's kind of it's eerie when you're like, oh, they do the same thing. He or she does the same thing. Well, there's a pattern here. So I look at this, and the first thing that they do in this game is they make income somehow, right? So everybody, you can either have a job, start a side hustle. You have to generate income, and the way to increase that income is to increase your skill sets and capabilities. That's how you're going to get more money.
Right.
And if you can have a job, and that's how I started, by the way. I just didn't, I'm not one of these, we like to glorify all these entrepreneur stories of, I quit my job and started a business,
right.
and the next thing I'm, selling my business to Microsoft. Doesn't work that way.
No.
How it works is most of these people start by working for someone, learning how business works, learning and figure out how you can increase the value inside of this business, and then you start a side hustle while you're still working in that business, and you increase your income potential through your skill sets and capabilities, and then also building something that someone would need on the outside. That's the first step, right? Is doing that. You have to make money. Then you've got to protect your money. So another thing is, there's a lot of folks, and I've come across a lot of them. They're young. They make decent money.
Yeah,
but they blow all of it because
that's what I do.
They're because they're on Instagram saying, "Oh, they're here, they're there, they're there."
Right.
FOMO.
Yeah.
I've got JOMO, joy of missing out. So switch from FOMO to JOMO. You have to put away money. I mean, pay yourself first. This is not rocket science. It's like 10% at least off the top. Put it away. Some of the most successful folks that I see, they save 40 to 50% of their incomes. And that's the other thing that I will say to younger folks too. Real money sleeps. Real money sleeps. Real money is not as advertised on Instagram and all of social media. It's not Porsches. It's not Ferraris. It's not big houses and boats and stuff. I know very wealthy folks. They don't have any of that.
Yeah.
So that would be the second piece of it. So the first piece is make income, grow your income, start a side hustle, figure out how to increase your skill sets and capabilities, add skills that the market needs, and then put away some cash. And the third piece is then the cash flow. If you increase your income, you put away some of the income, you're going to start having some of that, then you'll be able to look at opportunities. Now, there's ways to generate income. You said if you have to start right at the bottom. So there's a couple of things you can bring to the deal. You can bring the deal itself. You could bring money to the deal, or you can bring the know-how, the operations of the deal. And I've been a part of some of those deals too, where I didn't necessarily put up the cash, but I brought something to the table of value, a skill set or something that was that was needed in the deal, that made this deal go. So if you, for example, find a great deal, and there's ways to do that too, and bring that to someone with capital and partner with them, that's one way of doing it. The other way to do that is, even if you're out looking for deals, is become a bird dog for someone. That's another way of doing it. If you're trying to get, even in single family or in multifamily, I mean, there's a very successful people are very busy people.
Yeah,
they can't do everything.
Right.
So try and find out what they need, and don't ask them, how can I provide value for you? Look at what they're doing. Ask them what their goals are. That's one thing that I've done too. A ninja trick was asking folks that I wanted to develop a relationship with, what are you working on? And I still do that, by the way. People that I'm trying to build a relationship with and trying to get into certain circles, I ask them, "Hey, what's on your list this year? What are some of the things that you're working on? What are some of the things that you're excited about?" And then all of a sudden, I figure out how I can insert myself there. You know, what do I have that I can use to help that person, you know, do something in that space. Now, if you're a young person too, and you know social media and you spend a lot of time on there marketing, a lot of very successful, busy people don't have time to figure out all these things. You know, we were just joking around beforehand where I learned what a boomerang was. I didn't even know what that is. Yeah. So if someone would come to you, or, you know, like all these TikTok, like you come to someone and say, "Hey, I can help you do X, Y, and Z." "Oh, you're working on this? There might be an audience over here. Are you on TikTok already?" "No, I'm not. I'm not on TikTok." "Oh, I can show you how to do that and build an audience and do all the, you know." So it's like finding a way that you can add something to it. That's capital. And by the way, very wealthy and successful folks see this as capital. They don't look, that's another thing that I learned from these folks. Their mindset when they look at people, they don't look at money or what they have or shiny objects. They look at the intellectual capital of that person, the skill sets, the capabilities, and they look at the relationships and so forth, right? So, and then they look at, oh, that person is a person of value because he's got a lot of knowledge, he's got skill sets, he knows this, he knows that. Hey, he's got relationships over here. I'm going to keep that guy on the radar, or that gal, right? Right. So that's how you get started. And then the other piece is putting yourself in a position for explosive growth is the fourth piece. So just to recap quickly, because I rambled on there a little bit, but you got to make your money. Then you have to protect your money, save it, put away some of it. Then you've got to create cash flow. Then you've got to position yourself in space for exponential growth. I mean, the endless opportunities that are available right now. I mean, look at the stuff that's happening in crypto and blockchain, and it's only getting started. That is still in its infancy. Now, you don't have to buy coins and get rich. There's a lot of other things that you can do in crypto. There's a lot of skill sets that you might have that will get you into that. You know, I know someone that didn't know anything about crypto. They were a ninja marketer. They started marketing for a company in crypto because there's a lot of crypto companies, and now all of a sudden they know everything about the space because they're marketing it. They're now investing in companies, getting like an early look because of their skill set. Right. So you could do the same thing there without any money, and then you got to protect all of it. That's the final step. Step 5 is tax strategy. Got to have a tax strategy, got to have an asset protection strategy, and you've got to have an estate plan. When you're younger, you don't think about those things. When you get older, you start to think about those things. But those are the 5 kind of steps, the pillars of this framework that I will share.
Yeah, no, I love that. So one of the other questions that I have, and we've talked a lot about people in this, whether you're trying to seek out those ninjas, or they're trying to find the people that can bring the capital to the table. So do you have maybe like a process that you kind of go through to make sure that the people that you're, hitching your wagon to, their values align with what you have to bring to the table? Do you do something like that? Is there like a process for that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's the most important part of any deal is the operator. You can have the best deal if it's a scumbag or a undesirable character, as I
Sure.
would say.
Right.
Like you said, the money would be gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Paragraph 1, chapter 1. Protect your money. Don't lose your money.
Right.
There's a process. I do online searches. I deep dive in the online searches. I look at all the stuff that's out there, positive or negative. Someone that has some sort of a level of success are going to have a ton of great stuff out there, and there might be some haters out there too.
Sure.
On anyone. So I'm going to do my research online about the person. Then I'm going to look at some of the deals that they're involved with, and then I'm actually going to set up a call with them. And there might be more than one call, and then I'm going to have references and talk to other folks that have invested with this person, and it's not just, hey, can you give me like 3 or 4 people I can call? You can in most investing groups, you can even join on social media and ask, hey, has anybody invested with MC Laubscher? Has anybody done business with them?
Right.
And there might be there might be crickets, or there could be, oh yes, you can ask these things online. So there, I'm gonna look at this, and then I'm also gonna keep my eye on the person for a while. I'm not going to just jump in right away. I'm going to see the deals that they put out, look at the success of the deal, see if there's other deals that go full cycle, right? And I'm on lists where I saw folks raise capital for deals, 5-6 years ago. They're going full cycle. They're exiting now.
Yeah.
So they had a successful deal. They took it out. So now I know already, hey, I've seen this person. I've followed them for 5 to 6 years. Again, you don't have to keep your eye on someone for 5 to 6 years before you do business with them. But you have people on the radar, and then you have people that you do business with. You have to do your due diligence. And the best thing is to develop a relationship with them. Like I said, one call, another call here, a call with members on his team. And there's a couple of things quickly that you could figure out if they're going to be a good fit or not.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And I think it would make sense that maybe as the more that you cultivate that community and those relationships with all of those people, they know a lot of the same people, whether it's in that industry or another industry or whatever. So then all of a sudden, like Eric, who's sitting out there, Eric Cabral, shout out, he's sitting out in the studio. But one of the things that we talked about with PodMax is that the community attracts the right kind of people.
Yes.
And like everybody kind of seems to row the boat in the same direction. So the more people that you connect with that fit that, so that's like the time and effort thing. I mean, you said you don't have to sit on somebody and research them or cultivate that relationship for 5 to 6 years, but in some cases you do.
Yep.
But then that, the time frame must go a little bit quicker. The more relationships you have, the more that you're able to bring stuff to the table and all that kind of thing. So that's what I've noticed just in my business. The more I've focused on building relationships, building community, not so much, bringing in title insurance deals, but, just making those relationships, making people that would send me business or in that world, my friends, and then that's how I've gotten to be in this position that I am right now. You know what I mean? So
that's it. It's relationship capital.
Exactly.
And because of your skill set and your know-how and your intellectual capital and knowledge combined with all of this relationship capital, that results in financial capital.
Right.
Most folks, I think my biggest piece of advice is that everybody focus on the shiny object first. They just focus on the money or has a goal for the money. But actually, if you prioritize and focus just on you with your intellectual capital and building out your relationship, it's going to become a byproduct for you.
Right. So one of the things, and we might have touched on it, but I want to ask about it again. One of the things that we had talked about prior to jumping on here was you said something about redefining what wealth means.
Yes.
So could we talk about that? Because I think that would be something that would be good for this particular audience that we have here, is redefining what that means and what that actually does mean. Yeah,
that's a great question. And that was something that I've pondered over the past, 18 months is, we all are trying to accomplish something. And I always refer to it, with my sports background, I'm always saying you create a game and you want to create a game that's worth winning. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Because at the end you could.
I love that saying.
Yeah, because in the end you don't want to create a game that's not worth winning. So when people talk about wealth and financial freedom and success and that kind of stuff, is big takeaway for listeners here is define what it means to you. It means different things to different people, right? So what does wealthy mean? Well, it means like age-defying health for me, soulful relationships and great friendships. It means having businesses that's aligned with my purpose and working within my purpose and the capacity of my purpose with people that I love and doing things that I'm passionate about. You know, a lot of the stuff that I do it because I love it. I don't do it because I have to.
Right.
And it's the same thing with investments. You know, what is the goal there? Essentially, you know, financial freedom. And when you look at financial freedom, and that term's been used a lot, financial independence, self-reliance, financial freedom. The reason why I love cash flow investing is I believe it was Robert Kiyosaki that asked the question the one time too, which was kind of a light bulb moment for me. He's the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But he said, if you stopped working today, how long will you be able to sustain your current standard of living right now? And for some people, it's like, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. So essentially you're 6 months wealthy or 12 months wealthy or 18 months wealthy. And for some folks, if they've got enough passive income, leveraged income, cash flow coming in from their investment portfolio and from their businesses that exceed their living expenses and have a little bit of cheddar on top, right?
Yeah.
Then you're infinitely wealthy because you can maintain your current standard of living and there'll be an increase of cash flow because it's invested in hard assets. So you become infinitely wealthy. But then take a big picture look at it. What does it actually then mean? Because wealth is essentially, when it comes to financial wealth, measured in time. You know, essentially it's measured in time. And once you get to that big light bulb moment, you start to look at everything differently. And you're like, it's measured in time. You know, do I own my time? Can I spend my time how I choose, with whom I choose, where I want to, on working on the stuff that I want? And if the answer is yes, and you've got enough cash flow coming in, then you're infinitely wealthy because, as I said, the big thing is time. And it really struck me. And that's why I always say to folks, you know, I appreciate you spending your most valuable resource, your time with me. That's why I appreciate being on your show and spending this time together because in the end, that's our most valuable resource.
Exactly.
So we're focused on so many other different things. But I think to circle back to the beginning of that question is like, make sure that you have a definition for yourself and make sure that you design the game that's worth winning and the juice is worth the squeeze.
Love that. Love that. So we're talking a lot about people, and I don't know why I have this question, but this is just kind of like how my brain works. So I'm going to ask it anyway.
Yeah.
And I know that we're talking a lot about, you know, finding the right people, investing with the right people. But when we talk about these different niches and alternative investing and stuff like that, and you had mentioned crypto at some point, if you're going to get into alternative investing and you're like, I don't get crypto. I don't like crypto. I don't want to have anything to do with crypto. But you meet this person that you like, that you would want to invest in, and that's what they do. Can you invest in things that you don't like that you don't get? Is that something that you can do? Because it doesn't like Warren Buffett only like invest in stuff that he gets and he understands how it works. So like I don't know why I decided to ask that question. But now you have to answer it.
No.
Welcome to the morning spotlight, buddy.
That's a great question. Only invest in things that you know and understand. You know, before I started investing heavily in crypto, I really 12 months over the past 18 months, I dedicated to crypto.
Yeah.
I was all in on that. I did the same strategies that I share, starting basically, you know, I started in crypto in 2016, but I mean, I would say I was dabbling in it. I went serious 18 months ago, and 12 of that 18 months, I went all in, and I did the same stuff that I always do. You know, I find the best folks in the industry. I study them. I read their books. I watch all their content on YouTube and all these other platforms. Then I try to reach out, see if they have masterminds, buy courses from them, join masterminds, all that stuff that I talk about that you would need to do. So in 12 months, by immersing myself in that, I understood everything that was important for me to make decisions and invest. And the other thing about crypto and blockchain is it isn't necessarily just buying a coin and hoping it goes up. You have to understand when you save, when you invest, and when you speculate. There's actually a great strategy in crypto. I call it the California Gold Rush strategy. And essentially, the people that made the money during the California Gold Rush in 1849, yep, that's where the 49ers get their name from.
Right.
In 1849, were the people that sold the picks and shovels, the equipment, the clothing, and the shoes like Levi and Strauss, right? The housing, the entertainment, all of the saloons and all of the fun stuff. And then also the financial services like Wells Fargo came out of that. So those folks made fortunes and they never, ever found gold.
Yeah.
So the same thing is happening in crypto right now. People are so focused just on Bitcoin or Ethereum or these coins, Dogecoin, Dogecoin, the Elon Musk pump and dump.
Right.
They're just so obsessed with that they want to buy something and hope that it makes them a millionaire instantly, where the professionals, and this is what I learned by immersing myself, the professionals are looking at this going, how do I get to invest in a company that sells the picks and the shovels and the clothes and the housing and the entertainment and the financial services? How am I doing that? And they're already doing that, by the way. Think about it this way. There's a company that went public already, Coinbase. Imagine you invested as an investor through a private placement in Coinbase at a very low valuation, and eventually it went public on the New York Stock Exchange. And by the way, it's an exchange. Do you think the transaction volume goes up when crypto spikes, 100%? Yes. Do you think it goes up when crypto crashes 55 to 60%? Yes. So as an investor, you're an investor by doing that. You're not a speculator. You're investing in a business that benefits from the volatility of a very volatile market. Those guys are crushing it.
Yeah.
So understand when you invest, and then understand also when you speculate. When you invest in coins, hoping that it's going to 10x or 15x or 20x, right? So to only invest in things that you know and understand. And make an effort. And that's what I do with all these niches. And that's why, it's taken me 2 decades to immerse myself in many industries.
Right.
And that's how I did it. And that's how I keep doing it. If something new comes up now, like these NFT stuff, I don't know anything really about this. I know just the basics kind of stuff. If I ever wanted to pursue anything in there, I would spend a couple of months just immersing myself and learning everything that I can, finding the best names in the space, studying what they've put out, the content, looking at their videos, looking at their interviews, their podcasts. If there's a course, I would do all of that stuff before ever buying an NFT.
Right. Yeah. So also, can we talk about the importance of investing in yourself? Because I think that was one of the things that you had just said.
Yeah.
That, like, you seek out these people, you buy their courses, you try to get in their masterminds. Obviously, all that costs money, but in the long run, it's going to turn around and be something that you can benefit from. But talk to me about the importance of investing in yourself and just, biting the bullet, spending the money, getting yourself immersed in that thing. And I think the listeners already know what you're going to say, but I think that that's one of the things too, is that people are sometimes a little gun shy with buying a course or buying something because they're like, why am I going to spend whatever, $500 or $1,000 to learn how to do this when I can go to like YouTube University and just try to find it and try to find something on there. But talk to me a little bit about that, because that must also make you more connected with those people that you're trying to connect with, right? Not only invest in yourself.
Absolutely. So the first question that I get asked more than anything is, MC, what is the best cash flow niches that people have shared on your show? The second question that have been asked more than anything is, I have $10,000. What should I invest in? Or $5,000. I'm a young guy or a young gal. I'm 26, 27. I have $10,000. What should I invest in?
Yeah.
So here's what I would say. Talking about investing in yourself, there would be no greater investment ever than by investing in yourself. You are the asset. In the end, this is just stuff. It's just stuff.
Yeah.
It could burn down, could go away tomorrow. Think about it this way. If you reverse engineer stuff, who knows of billionaires that have gone bust, right? All of us. Those same billionaires come back. They build their fortunes back quicker than ever, and they become more powerful than ever. And they do it at a speed which blows people's minds. Why? Because they invested in themselves and relationships, and they didn't focus on all the other shiny objects. So they know you could take everything away from me, I'll build it back quicker and more bigger and powerful than ever because I know what the asset is. It's me.
Right.
You know, Jeff Bezos knows who the asset is. It's Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
You know, Elon knows who the who the asset is. It's Elon himself. It's not all the other stuff. You could just take that stuff, take Tesla away from him.
Yeah.
Take all of that stuff away.
He's good.
He's going to come up with another company,
Yeah, right.
like, you know, pretty quickly. So the importance of investing yourself is the most important thing. So here's what I will say too, right? So how do you spend your money? How do you invest in? Because there's a lot of undesirable characters everywhere in every industry.
Sure.
Financial education space, same thing. So there is an overflow of information out there. So what I would do if I'm starting out, if I have $5,000 or $10,000, here's what I would do. I would, again, seek out the best people and watch everything that I can on YouTube for free. Listen to their podcasts. Spend $20 to $30 on their books. Read their books. And then consume that content. And then I'm going to look at where I'm actually going to spend money is on intellectual shortcuts. When someone can take a very complex kind of topic and condense it to me, something that, you know, like crypto, I could probably have figured out everything that I needed to learn in that 12 months, but it would have taken me 5 years.
Yeah.
And therefore, I spend money to invest in courses and some of the programs because I could tap into intellectual shortcuts. So something would have taken me 5 years to figure out. Now I've got 12 months. It saved me 4 years of figuring that out myself. And that's where you spend the money. And then you spend money on masterminds. So even if you do, and this has happened to me before, where someone, you know, it's sort of like it's a mastermind that you tap into, but it's kind of like when you realize, oh, I kind of know more or less the same as the person, but the entire group that was there I learned so much from that. So it's almost like, you know, yeah, you get access to a mentor or someone through a mastermind, but it's the group. It's the community.
Right.
You know, like we use the example of Mr. Eric Cabral with On Air Brands. So it's like the community that is built, you tap into that community and all of a sudden you learn, I mean, I pick up things from people every single time I come into the On Air Brand studio, you know, meeting great people such as yourself and having conversations and so forth. Same thing when you're in a mastermind community and an investing community. That's how I would spend the money if I had $5,000 to $10,000.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's, again, a great answer. It's like you've done this before. It's weird. It's like you've been on a podcast before. Have you been? Have you been?
One or two.
No, this has been great. So one of the things, as we kind of get closer to the end of this, one of the things that I always do like to ask my guests is about goals. So I don't know if I necessarily want to ask you about goals, even though if you have goals, I would love to hear them. But I'm interested to kind of, just because you have like a lot of different things and going on and people and hands in some different pots, I want to hear like what's getting you excited right now. Like what is like, because you're obviously a high energy guy, which I love, but like what is getting you like jacked up? Like, is there something that you have coming down the pike aside from the book, which we will plug again, I promise, that you are just really excited about maybe in the investing world?
I am so excited right now at this particular point in time because where we are right now, I mean, there's so many things that are happening simultaneously that will really scare a lot of people. I get excited about that. I don't know if it's weird or not.
No.
But we have the fourth industrial revolution, artificial intelligence, machine learning, 3D printing, Internet of Things, 5G. I mean, you can go on about this. We have a world that we're entering to, which we cannot even fathom. The world that we're entering. Right. The technology is incredible. It's a massive, massive shift that's happening in the world. And the world's gone through these shifts before, from the agricultural age to the industrial revolution, but it's never gone through a change at this speed that it's going through currently. Then you've got changes in the world, economic changes, political changes, the Great Reset, as folks refer to it. You have, I mean, if we look at the markets and economies, it's pretty interesting stuff. Yeah. It's very, we're at a time right now where there's some interesting stuff going on. The technology that is available to us, the upward mobility. Let me just mention that. This gets me really excited. When I came to the United States 20 years ago, the reason why I decided that I wanted to hook my wagon to this amazing country was that I realized that the upward mobility available to anyone that's willing to put in the work and just grind it out is it's unbelievable. I don't think people realize in the United States that they were handed a lottery ticket when they were born here. I don't think people realize that. It doesn't work that, by the way, it doesn't work that way all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, most people just think, oh, it's kind of, the world is kind of like this everywhere. No, it's not. There's different tiers of society everywhere, and it's very hard to have the upward mobility to get into the next tier. In the United States, literally, when I got here, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, you could literally be born here, like, you know, pick your example, a mobile home park, which there are some nice ones out there, but I'm just saying you could be born in a trailer park like Cousin Eddie, or you could be in the projects and you could build an amazing life for yourself, right? Regardless of where you start. That upward mobility right now is available to anyone. Like, if you're young, if you're 25, 26 years old right now, like, there's going to be a crisis. It's just the clouds are here, whether it be financial, economical, societal, because there usually are, because of disruption through technology.
Sure.
You know, the crisis is just a byproduct of it. Eventually, they'll point at something else, but it's because of the changes that's happening. It happens over and over. You know, there's a book called The Fourth Turning, where there's 4 seasons essentially, and it plays out every 20 years is a season, every 80 years is a full cycle. If you go back 80 years, you have the Second World War. If you go back 80 years before that, you have the American Civil War. If you go back 80 years before that, you have the American Revolution. It all kind of plays out.
Yeah.
So there's going to be opportunity for you as a young person that is available. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, because we're amidst the greatest wealth transfer in human history. If you can figure out what's going on, where the puck is going, as Wayne Gretzky would say, and position yourself and tap into skill sets that are going to be needed in this fourth industrial revolution, you are going to, the upward mobility, the sky's the limit for you. And by the way, it's just not the United States anymore. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
You have a smartphone, you can tap into the internet. It's unbelievable. So that gets me excited. It gets me excited to see, wow, yes, there's storm clouds. There's a lot of doomy and gloomy stuff, and people can focus on all of the bad stuff. But you're like, in between all of that is the amazing abundance of opportunity. There's just too many of it. You know, I was brainstorming the other day on businesses right now that's needed right now. I mean, it's crazy. You could just go on and on and on. So that gets me excited. It gets me excited to leverage digital platforms and reach more people. It gets me excited to meet more people that do cool stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my goals, I really make an effort to meet more people that do cool stuff, because I love being involved with cool stuff.
Exactly. Cool stuff is cool. So I would want to be involved with it too.
So those are some of the goals: building out our platform, leveraging the opportunities, capitalizing on some of them, and then meeting people that are doing cool stuff, capitalizing on these opportunities.
Awesome. Love it. All right. So let's move the show into our closing segment as we're running out of time here. Yep. So the closing segment, which we call Under the Spotlight. So the Spotlighters, which is what I call my audience, branding.
Yep.
We've been talking for, I don't know, what time is it? About almost an hour.
Yeah.
Right? We've talked about a lot of different stuff, a lot of great stuff in here. But this is your moment to shine. So under the spotlight, we're going to put you under the spotlight, and this is going to be your final point that you want the Spotlighters to walk away from this episode with. So you are under the spotlight.
All right. One of the things that we've shared within our community that is so applicable right now, and I think it's very important for everyone in every shape of life, is to make hard decisions daily. And that's kind of been our mantra: make the hard and tough decisions in your life now. Every single day, I look at back at where I started, and it wasn't all, rainbows and unicorns, believe it or not. No,
right.
There were some very deep and dark times, and I leaned into it. I owned it. I took responsibility. I reclaimed basically my life by doing that, and I made hard decisions, and I keep making hard decisions. Every single time that you feel that a decision is hard to make, that's probably the right decision to make.
Yeah.
So wherever you are, and the reason why I wanted something that I feel that could resonate with a lot of people that are in different stages of their life is whatever that decision is, whether it is to take that leap and start that side hustle, whether it's to just buck up and, commit that I'm going to study for 3 to 4 to 5 hours and get this skill mastered so that I could start a side hustle, whether it's making a hard decision on where you live, how you live, where, the next chapter in your life. Make the hard decisions and keep making the hard decisions. Because the big thing about Cashflow Ninjas that I've learned, these folks, they don't stick their head in the sand.
Yeah.
They lean into reality. They face it. They deal with it daily. It's because there's challenges daily, and they know if they stick their head in the sand, it's just going to get bigger and bigger, the problems. So lean into it, make the hard decisions now, and it's going to pay off in the big picture.
Love it. Fantastic Under the Spotlight. One of the best that we've had, I think, and very unique. So we've done, I think when this episode is going to be 120 of the Morning Spotlight, and we've never heard anything like that. So I think that was great. So if people want more MC, more of the ninja, the Cashflow Ninja, let's hit them with the links. Where can they go to get more of you and the brand and the podcast and the book and everything?
Awesome. Thank you for asking. Cashflowninja.com. Cashflowninja.com is the website. And the book will be available at cashflowninja.com/21 niches. That'll send you to the Amazon link. And if your listeners take just a shot of their purchase, of the receipt, and send it to info@cashflowninja.com, we'll give them an audiobook version. We'll give them a digital version of the book. I've also curated all of the interviews that I've done, because people don't want to listen necessarily to 700 of them.
It's a lot.
So I curated the interviews where people talk about the niches, and I put it all together in a package for you, so you could just listen to those interviews. And then there's also bonus interviews of people talking more about those niches. So cashflowninja.com is the podcast, and cashflowninja.com/21 niches.
Love it. Love it. So I will make sure I put all of those in the show notes. So if you do want to get the book, make sure you do that, because that's fantastic. I'm going to do that. So I'll put those in the show notes. I'll also put the morningspotlight.com, the morningspotlight@gmail.com, the website and email address of the Morning Spotlight. So if you do want to reach out to us to get the MC, if you want, I'd be happy to make that introduction myself. The book is the 21 Base Cashflow Niches. The podcast is Cashflow Ninja. MC, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for sitting down with me. This was actually my first ever one-on-one interview of the Morning Spotlight in person. So congrats on being a milestone episode for me.
This was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me on. This was a blast.
Of course. And the Spotlighters, thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.